I tried being a footballer, a musician. I tried fashion designs. And today, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm Igwe Good News. I'm here to talk about how trying can create possibilities. I'm going to be using my story to share how the willingness and persistence to step into the unknown can open doors for possibilities. In Nigeria, we have about lots of families living in abject poverty. According to the finance minister, 5% of Nigerians have about 500,000 naira saved in their bank account. Most people, financial stability is out of reach. But in this environment, I dared to dream. By the time I turned 18, my both parents were retired. With no steady income, I watched them struggle to keep us afloat with a lot of children in the house. And this challenge made me to pick up a vision, a dream. I dreamed to create financial freedom for my family. And in course of that, when I got admission into the University of Port Harcourt to study mathematics, there was an encounter I had, and that encounter changed my life. On the very first day, I went to ask a girl out. Being a broke guy, she looked at me, and that sentence, what was supposed to be a romantic conversation, turned out to be an advice for me. She told me in her words, and I quote, "Now you are in university. We all know that soon you want to date someone. And we all know that the money our parents give us is not even enough for one person, let alone taking care of the next person." These words planted a seed in my mind. And she said, instead of dating, I should go about learning a skill that would change my life. She gave me options of web designs, graphic designs, fashion designs. And after thinking it through, I had interest in web designs. But I didn't even have money to buy a laptop. So when I got home, I took a walk down my community to a renowned fashion designer. And I met him. I told him I'm a student. And I would love to learn fashion designs. But I don't have money to pay. During my free hours in school, because if you look at the timetable will always have a couple of free hours. During my free hours in school, I would go to his shop where I would learn and then also go back to school where I study. After about 6 months and a year, I was already making clothes for my family members and friends. And that reduced the financial burden on my parents. 2 years later, I had a job, I was working, and eventually lost the job. And then 2 years later, I was at my lowest again, and I wanted to maintain the dream of pulling my family out of poverty. So I thought of starting a real estate company. And I named it after my dad, Daniel's Town. That's the name of the company, Downtown. While I was setting up my real estate company, of course, I mentioned earlier being a jack of all trades. A friend of mine reached out to me. They had digital assets to trade. That if I could assist in trading that digital assets. And then immediately, I made some contacts and I succeeded in trading the asset for him. At no fee, I sent his complete money to him. He came again a couple of days later, and I also repeated the same thing and sent the money to him. And then eventually, I thought of it. This could be a business opportunity. So he came again the next time. I applied the fee, and I paid him the money. I did not complain. Then immediately, I pushed out some contents on my WhatsApp status, went to everybody that I followed and follow me on every social media platform, and I sent them a message to tell their friends that I trade digital assets. Now, most of you must have seen in most comment sections where you see people commenting, I do this, I sell boots, I make clothes, and I do that. I was one of those people too. In almost every comment section, Instablock, Tunde Not, I would go under it and say, I trade digital assets. And eventually, clients started coming in. People started reaching out. I made a couple of money, and I thought of leaving Nigeria to go look for greener pasture elsewhere. I left Nigeria and I stayed in UAE for about 2 months. What I wanted for myself was not what I was experiencing over there. So I came back to Nigeria. The moment I got to the airport, I called a friend of mine, Mr. Chimene, who happens to be the COO of the company today. And then we met at the hotel, discussed about this business, and immediately he bought into the idea. From then till today, we have been building and sustaining the business. What used to be a business that started from the side of my bed with the picture above is now one that has grown with lots of employees. I'm not sharing these stories because I want you to see me as a superhero. But just to emphasize that there are lots of doors of opportunities that can open if only we can take a step into the unknown and see the possibility that comes with it. In course of this journey, I encountered a lot of challenges, which also enabled me to establish lots of philosophies that guide me. One of which, whenever I encounter a challenge, is mostly a learning challenge. I will tell myself that everyone doing it better today, one time in their life, they knew nothing about it until they tried before they became experts. And then the second philosophy is that the outcome we hope to have tomorrow is strongly dependent on the things we do today. And until we continue to try today, the pictures we hope for tomorrow will not come true. The third one is that most of us like to celebrate. We all look forward to celebrations. And celebration is a product of challenges conquered. So for me, I'm excited when I face challenges of life. And rather than focusing on just the celebration, I think we should enjoy the process of conquering these challenges so that we'll emerge victorious and have more reasons to celebrate. And then the last philosophy I would like to share is that in whatever we do, to ensure we are shaping the future, we should focus more on creating value. Money will come, and eventually fame will also follow. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.